Please, okay, I remembered. So everybody, please go on mute. And again, check us out. The membership, by the way, is $10 a year. And I don't see Jackie here yet, but she's always, I quote her, we're the best bargain in town. So get another bargain and come along with us. If you are a friend and not getting our emails, please check us out. Let me know, let somebody know, so that we could fix the problem to make sure that you know exactly what's going on. And we will make, get to know all the programs that we have both in person and Zoom. The one thing I do want to point out to you is there will be a book fair on Sunday, the 24th of November, and our book clubs, our book fairs are always a lot of fun. And we hope that, that you come and enjoy. If you have books you want to get rid of, we always are happy to add them to our fair. And people still enjoy reading books, so why not? Other than that, Shelley, thank you again for being with us. We look forward to you each time, and we're going to hear all about the what is it called? Between Two Worlds.
Two Worlds.
It was
yes.
very different, and it gets you thinking. It really does get you thinking. So we're willing, we're anxious to hear your pearls of wisdom. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We have a really small group this evening, it looks like. Either a lot of people are depressed, upset, or whatever, or just didn't like the movie. I don't know. But anyway, Between Two Worlds is from 2021. It was co-written and directed by a gentleman. His name is Emmanuel Carrier. Carrier has directed comedies, dramas, thrillers. His film work ranges freely between genres and is concerned with themes of identity, illusion, and reality. He is also an award-winning novelist and biographer. Between Two Worlds, he won the Best European Film at the San Sebastian Film Festival in 2021. And Juliette Binoche was nominated for Best Actress at the French Academy Awards for her role. The film is loosely adapted from an author, Florence Aubenas, for her nonfiction 2010 bestseller, The Night Cleaner. Aubenas is a celebrated journalist, perhaps best known worldwide for having been kidnapped and held captive for 5 months in the year 2005, while covering the Iraq War. In this story, which borrows loosely from the book, Marianne Winckler, a writer, goes undercover as a cleaning lady to investigate firsthand for a book she's writing about what it's like to survive on minimal pay and no job security during a countrywide economic crisis. In other words, she intends, as she tells the job counselor, to personalize the headlines and make the invisible visible. As she experiences the friendships and day-to-day struggles of a group of women and some men who toil each night cleaning out eventually the cabins of a channel crossing ferry. Carrier, the director, avoids turning the film into a reformist anthem, and shooting in a semi-documentary style allows us to see, along with Marianne, the effects of the relentless process these people go through. Unlike the book, where Florence Aubenas made her intentions known, in the book, she let people know what she was doing from the start. Marianne infiltrates the workforce without revealing her true identity to anyone. This gave the film an additional element of uncertainty, raising the question of how ethical is her deception, and how her coworkers, especially those who do become friends, react to the news when they inevitably discover the truth. So there is revelation in the film. We see these workers as sharply defined, from Cedric, the first man she meets at a job fair, to Mary Lou and Christelle, both of whom befriend her. And by knowing them, the film truly resonates, revealing in a personal way their hurts and their wants and their desires. And when the job counselor realizes, I said, who she is and confronts her, she is nothing less than honest about why she's gone undercover to write the book. Yet while we are witness to the drudgery of work, with only minutes to clean out each of the 230 rooms on the ferry and pointing out dryly that the men don't do bathrooms, we already see a division sexually. We see how the relationship between Marianne, Christelle, and Mary Lou develops, whereby they become a kind of valiant trio, which eventually gives the film a kind of tragic dimension through those revelations. And without any editorializing, we are also made aware of the long lines. If you notice, there is that one scene, the long lines of Sudanese immigrants lining up on the docks, looking for work in the nighttime hours, almost competition for the citizens themselves. And the film is not without uplift. As the scene on the beach reveals, a true moment of happiness when the women are sitting around and relating to one another, or when a walk to the supermarket becomes an occasion for a relationship with a man, Cedric, who is just too nice, especially when they go bowling together, or the delirium that ensues when they find themselves locked in a first-class cabin and behaving like luxury guests. We see Marianne, the imposter, becoming one of them, making her duplicity seem much less an affront than an affirmation of hope. But it's when she gets outed by a friend who sees her on the ferry and mentions he heard she's writing a book that brings everything, including her friendship with Christelle, to a halt. Who calls her a fake and tells her to get lost? The cinematography works very well, revealing an impersonal landscape. You know, we see concrete everywhere. It's very impersonal. We look through windows, we don't really see anybody, but it's a landscape of port infrastructures, the nondescript concrete buildings, endless highways, crowded supermarkets. It is filled with humanity and the lack of humanity in certain cases. They go unnoticed. As Marianne, Juliette Binoche turns in yet another memorable performance. She learns more about the plight of these workers, discovers more than she bargained for with her deception. She pursued the author for years, by the way, to obtain the rights to this story. Since the book came out, she was touched by it and wanted to turn it into a film. It took her many years, and she once again provides a realistic and honest portrayal as Marianne. She wears no makeup. She bears herself literally. We see the sadness in her eyes. We see the questioning. Especially, you know, it should be noted that most of the workers who are in the film, most of the people who played the workers are played by an extraordinary core of non-actors. None of them before this film were actors. They were all what we call precarious workers, drawn from this very hardscrabble world, not unlike the one depicted in the film. This drew pretty much on their own experiences. And you get that feeling when you see the performance by Helene Lambert, who plays Christelle. We see her in both the first scene and the last scene. We see her walking in the first scene. We see her from behind, and she arrives at that employment office, and she's full of vinegar and full of, you know, fight, because she doesn't understand that the bureaucracy is wearing down on her. And she holds the film with her intensity, as well as her mate, Leah Carney, as Mary Lou, who is also portraying a life that very much was close to her own before the film. Neither of them had ever acted professionally. and which owes to help explain why their performances radiate such an amazing and immediate authenticity. They are totally authentic and immersed in their roles. They both have since become actresses. So they've left that world, and now they are acting professionally. Both of them have made at least 2 or 3 films. So I am happy for them, as you should be. But both credible and absorbing, the film is skillfully observational, providing both drama and empathy, which is drawn from these characters. And in the end, despite those who attend the book signing telling her they hope the book makes people realize who they are, real people with real lives who deserve dignity and respect, unlike the way the guy treats them at that first job when they're cleaning the houses. The film provides a slap of reality in the end, because despite her politically minded intentions, Between Two Worlds ultimately has less to say about class than it does about friendships, than it does about relationships. It leaves us with the question of the legitimacy of emotional bonds. If one party is hiding essential truths about themselves, how legitimate can a relationship be if they're hiding? As well as the complexity in considering the ethics of her character's work and of the film itself. These are the questions he's throwing up at us in the film. Yet it's a thoughtful examination of the close bonds that can form between two people. This is the friendship and the limits of what those friendships can withstand. I mean, she gets involved with her children, with Christelle's children, accepts a gift. I mean, she really gets herself enmeshed. Marianne and Christelle bond over their bleak shared circumstances, but their friendship does evolve into something much deeper. Christelle looks at her, as a really close friend, and Marianne views their spiritual kinship as something that might transcend economic status. But Christelle sees much of her affection evaporate once their lives converge. Or diverge, once their lives diverge. She can't help but feel played by Marianne, especially in the last moments when she tries to hand her the vest and say, spend a couple of hours with us, and she says that's just not going to happen. Telling and she looks at her, she says, sure, you did your job, but yet she still feels betrayed by what happened. There is a book in America very much like this story by Barbara Ehrenreich called Nickel and Dimed. It was written in 2001. It was written from her perspective as an undercover journalist. She set out to investigate the impact of the 1966 Welfare Reform Act on the working poor in the United States. Her goal was to see whether or not she can match income to expenses, as the truly poor attempt to do every day. However, in trying to find if there were, any reactions when her coworkers found out she had written the book, I couldn't find any. I tried to do some extensive work finding out how the people portrayed in the book reacted, but I couldn't get any answers. So I don't know if they, if she had told them whatever happened, I can't say. But this book reveals, it's the next time, as they say in the film, I think it was Mary Lou, the next time they go on a ferry. Oh no, it was the head said, maybe the next time they go on a ferry, they'll realize, who we are. We won't be the invisible cleaners on the boat. And for us too, is to realize that these people deserve their dignity. They work very hard for nothing, for literally nothing, a pittance. It's very different than here. They do have much more of a social welfare system, but that money runs out too for them. And we see when she's taking her first training, and with the cleaning of the floors, The trainer, is saying to them, if somebody walks in and doesn't say good morning to you, what do? You smile, you say good morning to them, you say thank you. In other words, they have to be almost subservient to the person they're serving, and not expect it in return. So it is I thought it was a very well crafted film that got its points across. And as I said, it was loosely adapted from the book. So it was a fiction. And sometimes fiction works much harder than a documentary to get its points across. So now I'd like to hear from you, your thoughts on it. We have a small group tonight, so you can all sort of pitch in. Okay, Barbara, terrific. Go ahead.
I actually read Nickel and Dimed in America way back when, which I immediately thought of when I saw the movie. But I was stunned to hear that they were not professional actors. Just stunned.
Isn't that something?
I just amazed.
Well, when you look at Christelle's face at the end, with the betrayal and everything else, and her hard edge, she's working from life. She was working from life. She didn't have to reach far to understand who a character was.
I liked her. I liked Nanej.
Yes.
And Justine, who was, maybe a boy.
Yeah, well, she was an intersex child, as they explained.
Yeah.
Which is true.
I enjoyed the movie. Thoroughly.
Terrific. Thank you. Karen.
I really enjoyed the movie as well. One thing that moved me was how generous Crystal was. Even though she didn't have much, she made a cake for Marianne with her, and she and the little boy celebrated, and they gave her the necklace. And then the other thing was the woman who gave her the car.
The couple.
A lot of times, people who don't have much are more willing to share than people who do have a lot. But anyway, and I don't know, I was I really felt that they should have all have been kind of grateful for their plight being or I guess thankful would be the word, for having their plight, being being low class, be exposed. Yes. Yes. And so anyway, that was my thoughts.
And an interesting comment in the fact that, they as a group, they were very open to each other and did share, they share their experience, they share, because they feel they're a society unto themselves, that they know each one doesn't have much. So whatever they can do, they will. You saw, it was basically the same group you saw at the beginning in training that you saw on the boat. And at the end, sitting in the audience, at the book signing, he stayed pretty much on these people, and they were all humanized within the film. That's what I liked about it. It's really got around. Even poor Cedric. I mean, he was such a sad character. And I think, Marianne, Juliette Binoche's character, felt towards the end, when he said to her, he's telling her the story about the oyster man and his wife, and he says, so I won't be able to see you much anymore. Don't you understand? Are you happy for me? She says, yes. She said, well, you shouldn't be, because I'm not going to see you anymore. So she understood what he was, his mindset was totally out of whack. But yet you felt sorry for him. He saw himself as this Lothario, and he just, this was how he functioned. It was very funny, but very poignant, Thank you, Karen. Yeah, Susan.
Okay. Susan, unmute.
Yeah.
You're muted, Susan.
She's working on
Okay.
it.
Okay,
Okay, I
thank
always
you for
do that.
suggesting it.
Thank you. I like the movie very much. I had read the book too, Nickel and Dime, so I thought about that right away. And when Barbara was writing that book, I remember that she didn't talk too much about the other co-workers at all. Maybe she didn't make too much of a relationship with them. She was on her own a lot, but she had a hard time. That girl had a hard time trying to live on minimum wage. It doesn't sound fun. She had to eat Fritos and stuff and stay in these old crummy hotels. But that makes a lot of sense that those other actresses were not professional before this. They were actually cleaning people because their movements were so precise and so efficient. I said, wow, especially when they were doing the sheets and stuff and cleaning the windows. I mean, they were just really professional. So that was very interesting that they were never actresses before. Thanks.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, a pleasure, a pleasure. Thank you. And who's going to go next? Who wants to go next? Yeah, Marilyn.
Susan, first of all, thank you. Susan was
Yes, the
suggesting
one that you said,
Shelley
Susan, you sent
and
us the
me
email.
about the book, and crazy that Barbara had read it also. But Susan, after you suggested the book, I went to the library website and I found out that the book is not available as an ebook, but it is available as a paper book if anybody wants to read it.
Oh, great.
Barbara both thought it was good. If anybody else thinks they might want to read it too, you can check it out at the library.
Thanks.
And I like the book. I like the movie. I found it a little bit slow, but it sort of came together as it came together. And I love Juliette Binoche. I thought she did an amazing job. She's a fabulous actress in like everything that she does. And you realize right at the beginning, because I believe they said that she had graduated law school, so she was a very educated person. And my thinking is, when you think of her wanting to do, what motivated her to write this book, what else could she have done? What else could an author really do to get into the mindset and the life of somebody who's doing any job other than going in, full force? I mean, I think she did the thing that is the question is it ethical? And
Yeah.
do you tell them ahead of time, or do you do it the way and I don't know if there's a right or a wrong way, but other than doing that, I don't know anybody who is an author could tell that story of unless I'm missing something.
No, you're asking the right questions. I mean, I think the question is, there are risks you take by doing it, which is what was bared in the film. She took the risk. She went in, she wouldn't tell them. I mean, the job counselor found out and she said, well, you'll be finished once you get, she said, once I get a full contract, I'll leave. I'll quit. She says, I can arrange that now. She said, I bet you can arrange that now. And she just looked at it. She said, but she wouldn't. So it was interesting because the counselor found out by accident, and now says so, but didn't reveal who she was to anybody else. So maybe there was the idea. She said, because her plea was, I want people to know what's going on with this group of people. And why it's important in this day and age, they were under an economic crisis, to help them to tell their story. She just
exposed like that on the ferry by that gentleman.
Yes.
Eventually, it would have had to come out, because there would have been a book, and you just would Christelle because the friendship among the three of them was just beautiful, the way it was evolving.
Right.
You wonder what the outcome might have been had it not been exposed that way. I mean, we'll never know.
Well, even Christelle wanted it to continue only if she would come back. And that was impossible. She couldn't come back to that. And that's what Christelle, was, well, how could you call yourself my friend? That's the betrayal. And that's the risk she had to take. But she did, you saw when they were on the boat in the room, even when she's taking the pictures, at one point, she gets very sad. She starts to cry, feeling, like almost, how am I ever going to tell these people, other than with the book? How can I get them, how can I come across to them? And we can understand the anger on the other side. Both ways, the joy from those who feel, I'm glad she exposed us so people will see us. But then those who said, but she's, she spent time in my house, she was with my children, and she was living two worlds. She was living within two worlds.
Ed had asked a question on the chat as to why she couldn't come back.
Yes.
In the chat, he asked you the question.
Yeah.
I guess
I need to go see the
Okay.
thing.
Her-
Okay.
Chat.
Okay. Why couldn't she come back? Why couldn't she come back to work? I mean, she didn't want
Not a
to.
maid.
It was no longer her world. And she said that's just not, it's just not going to be, what is she going to come back for, grins and giggles? I mean, it's if she came back, first of all, they'd know who she was. The other workers know who she was. It's not real anymore. It's not doing what she did before. And it's not going to really contribute to them being friends. If she wants to, she can be a friend, but not in that capacity, not in the work capacity. Yeah, Wendy. You got on mute, Wendy.
I think the fact that she went from her position in life wanting to write this book was a great gift to society, because she went into this job working with the sheets and the mopping and the dirt, and what she had to do was hard physical labor. So when she wrote this book, she knew firsthand what these women were going through and what these men were going through. And I think it was a service to society to see this and be aware of it. And maybe the next time that there were allotments given, they would raise them for these people who were really working for minimum wage at best.
Yeah, but they feel, and you can understand, it's hard for them to appreciate what she's done when they say, when they look at her and they say, yeah, but you go back to your clean house, your big clean house, you go back to your job, your friends, such as the people they met on the ferry, it's a whole other world that they're just not part of. And they see, it's almost like they feel, she condescended to come into their world to tell the story. That's all well and good, but not from their point of view. We have to look from their point of view. You're exposing us, you're talking about us without our permission, and that might have hurt her. Even if she portrays her well in the book, which we don't know, it's still tough. It's because she wasn't who she thought she was. She wasn't who she thought she was. She was not like them in many aspects. So I think it hurt. I think it hurt her. It hurt
But
her.
ultimately, at the end, they were friends. Somehow or other, there was a forgiveness there.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if there was forgiveness in her eyes. I think Christelle, when she got on the bus, you could see it on her face, that the feeling of betrayal, and that it's like,
The fact that she was wearing the 4-leaf clover, I had the feeling there was some rapprochement there that was.
oh, well, with her, there was a
Yes.
feeling, yes. I mean, she said to her, "You're still wearing it." She says,
Yes.
yes, and touches it, because but she left that world.
Yes.
She left that world, and she
Yes.
wasn't going back into it. And that's why that was the test. When Christelle said to her, come with us for 2.5 hours, let's just do it again, maybe for old time's sake, whatever you want to think. But the fact was, she said, it's just not going to be. That's not me anymore. And what she's saying is, that's not who I am. and therefore it immediately, she feels rejected. Christelle felt rejected.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough. Karen, did I see your hand?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I was just going to say that I think we can really apply this to our own lives also. Like, if you see the cleaning lady in the bathroom and the bathroom is nice and clean, just say good job to them or something like that. Even the people in the grocery stores, say hello, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
It's just so that they don't feel they're invisible.
You got it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with when they're walking out, you're walking into the bathroom, you see them walking out after they've cleaned it, say thank you. It's going to make them feel like they were noticed. It is important. It is important. I think that's what work is all about. It's you work hard, just give me a little dignity for what I do. And I think that's, the feedback is important for anybody.
Sure. Yep.
Anybody else? Anybody else out there? I don't see any hands. Nobody else? Okay, well, next in 2 weeks, we have a film from mainly Maryland, from Canada.
Oh, Les Filles de, I can't remember, like,
Le Fille de Jean, yeah, Le Fille de Jean, which translates for American audiences as a kid. The French title is Le Fille de Jean, or Son of John. It's a contemporary tale, coming of age, identity, family relations, a little mystery, secrets, drama, and graceful humor as well. Is really a human film, and it's a finely wrought family drama that at once feels familiar, but then is new in many ways. It's immersive and deeply poignant, dealing with complex issues tied to interconnected themes. All these themes I mentioned, as well as masculinity, family, and it unfolds in layers that all will come together. I think it's a very successful film, a very well acted film, and a touching one, which I hope you'll enjoy.
Is it a
It
French
is on
one, Shelley? Is it French Canadian?
It begins in Paris. It's a French director, believe it or not, and the star is French. He's from Paris, but the film is mostly in Canada, and the co-star in the film is a popular French Canadian actor. Denis Arcand, the director, it's his brother. I forget his first name, but Arcand, who's a very popular actor and director in Canada. You might recognize him.
Is
Yeah.
the title La Fille de Jean in French or the boy?
French. Le Fille,
It's
Son
a
of
kid.
John.
Yeah, look up,
Son
use
of
both,
John.
either a kid or Le Fille de Jean.
Okay,
The literal translation is the Son of John.
John, yeah, but don't put in the Son of John because you won't find it.
all right, we'll have to do
No,
it in
you have to
French.
put in the French.
Yeah,
Okay,
put in the French title or put in a kid and
Look.
you'll find it.
okay.
So I'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. So I can wish you a good Thanksgiving then. Have a good
Okay.
2 weeks, and I'll look forward to seeing you and maybe more people.
Okay, well, it was wonderful. You did a great job and we all enjoyed it. So thank you so very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Marilyn.
Very
All
good
be
film.
well. All be well.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.